As we've seen, the defining characteristic of Wahhabis is their hatred and backstabbing of the Ummah. Nothing better represents this than the alliance of the Wahhabis with the British in the early 20th century. In 1915, Ibn Saud signed the Treaty of Darin. This treaty made the Wahhabi Najd a British protectorate. They also gave Ibn Saud a £20,000 loan and a shipment of arms, as well as a monthly stipend of £5,000 to sell out the Ummah to the enemies of Islam. He sided with the British anyway and celebrated when Sunni Muslims were being slaughtered. If you think I'm exaggerating about any of this, just consider the fatwa from top Wahhabi authority Sulaiman ibn Sahman, who lived from 1850 to 1930. Ibn Sahman was one of the highest ranking authorities in the entire history of the Wahhabi movement. Ibn Sahman's fatwa has been preserved as a historical manuscript by King Saud University, and at the time of this recording you can still download it directly from their manuscript database. The fatwa states that Ottoman Sunni Muslims are all kafir murtads. Furthermore, their level of kufr is worse than that of Jews and Christians who are standard kafirs, or what they term kafir asli. Some people in those places have Sufi practices like istighatha. Therefore, because of auto takfir and chain takfir, they're all mushriks worse than Abu Jahl. This is the deviant Wahhabi takfir doctrine we discussed earlier. Now, the second part of the question that was asked was, who should the Muslims want to be victorious, the British or the Ottoman Turks? To answer this, Ibn Sahman refers to the Sirah. We have already established with evidence. Therefore, rejoicing at the victory of the people of the book over idol worshippers in our time, i.e. the Turks, is even more appropriate. This is because they are apostates, so their disbelief is worse than the disbelief of those who have never been Muslim. Keep in mind that in 1915, the Ottoman Caliphate included not only Turkey, but also Syria, Palestine, Iraq, and the Hijaz, meaning Mecca and Medina. According to Ibn Sahman, Muslims in all these regions are apostate kafir mushriks whose disbelief is more severe than that of Christians and Jews. Therefore, the real Muslims, meaning the Wahhabis, should hope and pray that the British invaders wipe them all out. This shocking fatwa is not well known because Wahhabis have aggressively hidden these historical documents which reveal the truth about their movement. The fatwa was endorsed by Abdullah ibn Abdul Latif, who was a direct descendant of Ibn Abdul Wahhab and was the highest ranking Wahhabi scholar of his time. Abdullah was also the direct teacher of Ibn Saud. Ibn Saud, who would eventually found the modern Saudi state, truly believed the Wahhabi doctrine that the British were superior to Sunni Muslims. All of this is reported by Harry St. John Philby. Ibn Saud conveys to this British colonial officer how Islam gives a higher status to Christians and Jews above non-Wahhabi Muslims. He also says his eagerness to ally with the British Empire against the so-called mushrikeen. Ibn Saud's hatred for Sunni Muslims resulted in numerous massacres that have been extensively documented by historians. From the very beginning of the Saudi state, the Wahhabis conspired with the Europeans against the Caliphate and against the wider Ummah. The Wahhabis, however, favored the British, which would allow the Wahhabis to then retake Hijaz and the Arabian Peninsula. This is exactly what happened at the end of the war, including Palestine, which was then given to Jews to establish Israel. And of course, the rest of the Arab lands were divided up into nation states, creating the dysfunctional mess known as the modern Middle East we know today. The depressing situation we have today in Palestine and the Middle East is the result of exactly what the Wahhabis worked for. Wahhabis have for centuries stabbed the Ummah in the back. They've repeatedly celebrated when Muslims were attacked and killed by non-Muslims. They've always preferred non-Muslims dominating over the Muslims with so-called incorrect aqidah, encouraging and helping the US and Israel to destroy the Muslims in Palestine. This is something no Muslim should ever forget, because the Wahhabis lie and claim that what distinguishes them from other Muslims is their belief in so-called Tawheed and following the Salaf. All of this is a propaganda hoax. What distinguishes Wahhabis is takfir and betrayal and backstabbing of all other Muslims, allying with non-Muslims against other Muslims. That is the legacy of Wahhabism.